And welcome back, everyone, to episode 9 of the Sports Coverage Podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm alongside my co host, Vince. As always, we have a lot to talk about this episode: contracts, injuries, crazy games. So let's hop right into it. As always, starting with the NFL and something we talked about a couple weeks ago that there is big news with. Jonathan Taylor will be playing this Sunday as he signed an extension, which will be for 3 years, $42 million. The game on Sunday is against the Titans, and it will lend Anthony Richardson a big helping hand with the Colts offense.
Yeah, exactly what you just said. It helps Anthony Richardson the most. He doesn't have to rely on himself running the ball every time. And I would say that's one of his best abilities. Don't get me wrong, but having that backup, that running back that can ultimately get you yards, it's just great. So not only does it not help Anthony Richardson just be a little more calm and actually trust his team, but it just improves the franchise. And I think the Colts are already doing really good this season, but they can do even better with John Taylor now back.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And this is kind of the end of the running back saga for this year. There was a lot of uncertainty about running back contracts this offseason, like Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Jonathan Taylor was the last one to sign an extension or contract with his team. So this makes him one of the higher paid running backs. Barkley got the 1 year, 11 million. I don't remember exactly Josh Jacobs' contract, but I think Taylor got exactly what he wanted here, and he gets to stay with the team that he's been with for a little while. So good for him, and we'll see what continues to happen with the running back saga as we go on for the next couple of years and going into the end of this offseason. And this is definitely a step in the right direction, I think, for what running backs wanted with higher pay and better contracts. So, something about finally good news with an injury is that Cooper Kupp will be returning to playing football with the Rams this Sunday versus the very, very strong Eagles. Cooper Kupp is one of the top receivers in the league, and he's definitely shown that over the past couple of years, especially when he won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm very happy that Cooper Cup is back. After that Triple Crown season he had, when they won the Super Bowl that year, Cooper Cup looked like he looked like a god. Like I mean, he looked like he wanted to play football, like real football. Like this guy came out and showed what he could do. Cooper Cup did really, really, really good 2 years ago. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries since. So, although I'm happy that he's back, I'm sorry, but he's not going to be the same player he was 2 years ago. I have to say, he's not going to be the same person. He's not going to be the same player. He's just, as you get older, it's tough to maintain injuries. And, as we see, like he's really been getting hurt recently. So I just don't think he will be anywhere near as he was 2 years ago.
And I think he's still going to come back strong and be one of an elite wide receiver. But I agree with you. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think
I,
he's
I
going to
mean,
be that
I
MVP caliber player he was when they won the Super Bowl.
well, yeah, obviously, but now that Puka Nakua, I don't mean to go off track right here, but Puka, he's been doing phenomenal things at the receiver position for the Los Angeles Rams. He looks like Cooper Cup 2 years ago. He looks like an amazing, amazing, amazing athlete. So, in order, if it just depends on if Matt Stafford who he trusts, who he wants to get the ball to, whether it's Puka, whether it's Cooper Cup. I mean, I personally think that Puka's going to get the ball way more just because of how much he's shown the last 2 weeks, and
Yeah, the first part of the
listen,
season.
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So I just think that Puka's going to be better than Cooper, and that's why Cooper's not going to get that much opportunities, if you know what I mean. I think Puka's
Yeah,
going to be a
not as
little bit better.
many, not as many. And
Yeah,
Puka Nakua, we haven't really touched on him in like this so far this season, and he came right out of the gate the first week, um, drafted in the later rounds, I think, of this year's draft.
yeah, he was like the fifth round pick for the
Yeah,
Rams
for
last
the
year.
Rams, and he at one point was leading the league in receiving yards. He had a couple of touchdowns, and he was looking like the next just lowly drafted guy who's gonna win MVP or something
I
like
mean,
that.
he,
And
I
he's
mean,
still
he's
and
already
he's
he's already
keeping it
broken
up.
records. He's already
Yeah,
yeah, I know,
and
but he's already broken records. With 30 receptions in the first 3 weeks of his NFL career. But yeah, that's just huge, huge numbers. So if Cooper Cup wants to become the player he was 2 years ago, then maybe he will take the spotlight away from Puka. But I just think Puka's gonna be the better player.
yeah, I definitely agree. So Sunday's big game, prime time at 8:20 is going to be Cowboys versus the 49ers. And they have two of arguably the best defensive in the league. 49ers led by Brock Purdy on offense. Cowboys have Dak Prescott. It's going to be more of an offensive battle for both these teams because, like I said, their defenses are just both elite. And we're going to need to see Cowboys D line do their thing, 49ers defense as a whole do very well. And it's going to be tough for Christian McCaffrey as the 49ers' big weapon to get through that D line.
Yeah, but I don't think that defense really has not like doesn't it just doesn't do that much to Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey has shown what he could do, playing at the running back position, and not just this year, but years in prior and back in Carolina too. Just how good and shifty he is. Like he's just so good. I don't think it really matters that he's playing against the best defense. We saw last week or 2 weeks ago that the Arizona Cardinals beat them. I mean, that's not something we would see this year, especially this Cardinals team this year without Kyler Murray or DeAndre Hopkins. So yeah, I just think that the Cowboys defense has not it's not a problem for Christian McCaffrey in the 49ers offense because I still think they're gonna roll. So I am gonna take my pick on who's gonna win. I think the 49ers are gonna win just because of how good that offense and they just added Randy Gregory to the defensive line, which is huge. He's a former Cowboy. So, he gets to play against his former team on Sunday night. So we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say Brock Purdy is going to keep on rolling. He's been excellent so far this season. It was uncertain at one point if he was actually going to be the starter, but he's been looking great. Christian McCaffrey, as always, has been looking like a machine last week. He did incredibly well, and I'm happy for whoever has him on their fantasy team. But I think it's going to be a pretty good primetime game, one of the best we've seen so far this season, and it's going to be tight. So we're excited to see what happens there. So we're going to quickly talk about Thursday Night Football, two teams that are not really that great, but we saw one player stand out with the help of Justin Fields. DJ Moore has had the best wide receiver performance so far this year. Not even Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill have done this well yet. Had 8 receptions, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns in 10 targets. So he just was running like crazy. His average length per reception was 28.8 yards, and he had those 3 touchdowns. He is the Bears' main receiver, and yeah, but that was just an incredible performance by him and Justin Fields in that game versus the Commanders.
I mean, I understand that, as you said, DJ Moore is the number one, playmaker for that offense. But you got to remember, Justin Fields is not your average throwing quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. He likes to run. He likes to show what he can do getting inside the end zone. So that comes with responsibilities. He likes to take care of the ball himself. That's what Justin Fields does. So although it's not DJ Moore's fault for not getting the ball, Justin Fields just likes to do what he likes to do. I mean, it's not just that he can't, it's not that he just doesn't throw to DJ Moore. It's that this offensive line isn't helping Justin Fields as much as we would like to see. So that's why I feel like DJ Moore has only gotten better these last 2 weeks because the offensive line has improved and Justin Fields has time to make the throw.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see, especially versus the Commanders, who were looking a little shaky going into the season. They started off well, but they've kind of been crumbling over the last little bit. They were projected last in the division, and they were not even supposed to win those first 2 games that they had. So interesting Thursday night football, but Monday night football is also going to be quite interesting. So for Monday night football this week, we have the Green Bay Packers and the Las Vegas Raiders. So this is what everyone is saying is going to be Devontae Adams' revenge game against his former team with the Packers. And there's also been a lot of news surrounding Devontae Adams on whether or not he wants to stay with the Raiders, what's going to happen there. Is there going to be a contract saga or something like that? Is he going to put in a trade request? Because I don't think, and other fans don't think, that that's where Devontae should be or where he wants to be right now.
Yeah, just by what he said, just by what Devontae says, like he doesn't really feel confident being with the Raiders right now in the present time. Maybe in a few years they would get ultimately better, but I do think he does miss the Packers a little bit. Now they don't have Aaron Rodgers, so he's not really missing out on any big moves with the Packers organization. But yeah, I just think that although it's a good game to watch, I just think Devontae Adams definitely is going to get some revenge. He's not obviously playing his former quarterback. He's playing his former teammate, but I just think that Devontae Adams will go off in this game. I just think this defense won't be able to stop him.
Yeah, I agree, and he's looked good so far this season. Last week, he didn't really do anything until the fourth quarter, which was interesting. But we saw earlier in the season, Jimmy G was definitely willing to throw to him and make plays with him. So, unfortunately, we have another injury to report. Christian Gonzalez is likely going to be out for the season. Originally reported on Monday was that he suffered a dislocated shoulder during the loss versus the Cowboys, but later reports state that he tore his labrum and will require surgery, likely sidelining him for the rest of the season. He was the New England Patriots 2023 first round pick.
Yeah, very disappointing. He looked very sharp though. I mean, I was watching the Sunday night football game, Dolphins versus Patriots, a couple weeks ago, and he looked very, very well against the fastest receiver in the league, and Tyreek Hill. He looked like, one of the better cornerbacks in this league, and it's very, very sad that with these, not just this injury in general, but every single injury that's going on this season, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, and now obviously Christian Gonzalez. So, it's very, very sad, every injury that's going on right now, currently in the NFL. But I think he could definitely have a bounce back year next year. He's definitely going to go for a good year. I know he's coached by one of the better coaches in the National Football League. So there shouldn't be really a problem. It's just the rehab situation that he has to deal with.
Yeah, so we'll keep you updated on this injury and others that we've talked about, unfortunately, over the last couple weeks. But we're going to move on to college football, which has already had an eventful day as of recording. So we're first going to talk about the game of the weeks, one of which is going on while we're recording, and one has just completed. Vince, what's your game of the week?
Yeah, I got Alabama versus Texas A&M. I really do like this matchup. I love when they play against each other. I think it's one of the better matchups in college football, not just history, but in recent history. I just think that these are two teams that love to play against each other, not just because they're in conference rivals, but just whenever I see them play against each other, it's really, really fun to watch. So, you know, people would take Alabama, but give me the underdog, Texas A&M, baby.
Well, last year Texas A&M actually did edge out with that game-winning field goal, and that was an insane game. That was the first of kind of Alabama's turmoil last season, and it was a crazy game. And I agree, this is a good game of the week pick. I'm still gonna go with Bama here to edge out. Listen, Jalen Milroe looked a lot better last week. They kind of returned to form. I'm looking forward to see what they can do in this game.
I like Jalen Milroe, but he's just a little. I don't know. Like, I don't think he's capable enough to
He's
be
not the
as
same
good.
as Tua, Bryce Young, Mac Jones, but I think it's just because Bama's been so used to having those guys who have all been top 10 first round picks, and most of them are succeeding in the NFL.
I mean, if they manage to beat Alabama, I think this can definitely be a huge bounce back game from obviously losing to the University of Miami, which was a huge, huge loss.
Yeah, and That was quite an interesting game. But my game of the week just ended in crazy fashion. Texas versus Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry. So that that game was crazy, led by Oklahoma for most of the time. Texas came back with a late field goal. Then Oklahoma finishes it out, ending in a 34-30 win in favor of Oklahoma. They were the underdogs in that game. I was rooting for them all the way. Texas, we'll see where they drop to. They still have had an amazing season. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I like Texas in this game. I don't understand how they managed were possible to lose this game. I understand Oklahoma is one of the better teams in college football right now, but I cannot believe that they lost to Texas. I thought Texas was the better team all along, and as we see, Oklahoma is gonna start running Red River rivalry for now. So it's still a huge game for not just Oklahoma but the school in general. I think it was definitely a big win, not just because they're two. I mean, it's just because it's a rivalry game. It's anticipated. It's very highly loved. So yeah, I really thought Texas was gonna win, but surprisingly they did it.
Yeah. And Oklahoma has always been very good at, but I feel like they've been the underdogs of the power schools. And I feel like you always see Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, all these guys, Texas even, and you never see Oklahoma on any of these lists. So I think that this is going to be Oklahoma's year with the 12 team playoffs. I think they're going to be up there, and I'm excited to see what they do for the rest of the season. So last week, where College Game Day went, and one of our game of the week picks, Duke versus Notre Dame had an absolutely insane game, ending 21-14 in favor of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It all came down to the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter, but we saw incredible performances from both Sam Hartman and Riley Leonard, who Riley Leonard unfortunately went down with an injury. All one of the last plays of the game for Duke, but I think it was an amazing showing from Duke, and I'm excited to see where they go for the rest of the season. Like I said, with Oklahoma. Any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, not only was it a huge win for Sam Hartman and the Fighting Irish, but just managing to finally win in a tight nail biter. Obviously the week before that they played against Ohio State and they ended up losing. So managing to win in a nail biter game, in a very tough, tight game, is huge for Sam Hartman just to get inside the end zone as soon as possible. And obviously, as we know, Riley Leonard did go down with an ankle injury. Very, very surprising. We've seen this with multiple, not just in football, but in multiple sports. For example, like Derrick Rose getting hurt. He didn't need to, like, these players didn't need to play the rest of the game. They could have been benched. They didn't really need to play the rest of the game. There was no need for Duke to start or play Riley Leonard in that fourth or the end of the fourth quarter. So very disappointing loss for Duke. They looked sharp this year, and
Oh, I mean,
I
yeah.
just, I mean, just because of the loss, I don't think it's gonna really ruin any chemistry. It just ruin any like hype that's going on with them. So I just still think that Duke can be still so good.
Yeah, and like we were talking about last week, this is really Duke's first big football thing in many years, since the 90s even. So I I'm rooting for them. I like the underdog story, so we'll see how that continues to play out. With the NBA, but not really the NBA, more the Olympics. We've been talking about this the last couple weeks, keeping updated on what's going on, especially after the US's elimination from the FIBA World Cup a while back and us not winning that somehow. But Embiid has committed to the 2024 Summer Olympics team in Paris. And Steph Curry, LeBron James, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant have also all officially committed to join the chase for gold in 2024. MLB. So the MLB postseason is here. The Twins, Rangers, Phillies, and Diamondbacks have won their best of 3 first-round series, and the divisional rounds have begun. Just to quickly talk about what matchups are going on in the AL, number 1 Orioles versus number 5 Rangers. Any thoughts on that series?
Yeah, I really like this series. As of recording, they are playing right now. Texas is leading 3-1. I kind of knew that Texas was going to be a huge team. I think they should have been, number one. I understand that the Orioles have been phenomenal this season, phenomenal, but I think that the Rangers are the better team when we look at on the score sheet and we look at the players who on both of these teams. I think that the Rangers are the better team. So I'm gonna have to take the Rangers in this matchup.
So, in one of the first episodes, we talked about our World Series favorites. I said the Rangers from the AL, and towards the end of the season there in September, it was looking a little shaky to see if they would even make it to the postseason, but they are and they're here. But I want to see the Orioles succeed here. Again,
I don't
it's
know,
the under.
Andrew. I listen. This
I don't know
Rangers
if they
team is
will. I
looking
just want to see
phenomenal,
them.
man. Like this
Yeah.
Rangers team is looking. We've never seen a Rangers team, I think, this good. Like they are just playing great, and just because they have a 5 next to their name on a bracket does not mean anything. They are still so good, and I think that they can end up beating the Orioles in this matchup.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that, but I want to see something out of the Orioles. I want to see a fight. The videos from before the game started in Camden Yards were insane. You got the rally towels already. The stadium was packed for the first time in forever. This season has been incredible for the Orioles. I don't like it as a Yankees fan, but I'd like to see them succeed here. Second AL matchup is the number 3 Twins versus the number 2 Astros. So we're going to talk more about the Twins in the fast fact later, but the Astros are looking to repeat this year as World Series champions, but can the Twins stand in their way? What do you think?
No, I think that the Astros will absolutely dog on the Twins. No offense to the Twins. I think that, you know, that they are a good team. They're a good team. I mean, in the wild card round, they look pretty good. I know it was only 2 games, but I mean, yeah, 2 games. But I just think that this Astros team is just a better team. I think that they are capable enough to even make it to the World Series. I put when I was doing my bracket this past week, I put the Astros against the Braves in the World Series. So I just think that's my World Series matchup. I think that those two teams are going to play against each other, and I understand that the Twins are good, but the Astros are just a way better team.
Yeah, and I think the Astros will pull away with this one, but I think they could potentially get stopped by either the Rangers or the Orioles in the championship series. But I like what I've seen from the Twins. I think they could put up a solid fight, but I don't know if it's going to go their way. In the NL, it's the number 1 Braves, the World Series favorites, versus the number 4 Phillies, who are looking to make it back to the World Series this year for their revenge story. So the Braves broke a ton of records this year. Ronald Acuna Jr. most likely going to win MVP. We've been talking about this a lot as well over the last couple weeks, and I think the Braves are going to do pretty well in the series. But again, I think Phillies can put up a good fight.
Yeah, I like the Braves in this matchup just because how much they've done this season and how good they are with phenomenal talent and Matt Olson, and, Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzy Albies, and much more. I just think that this team is the better team. I understand that Red October is a huge thing in Philly, but I don't think that this Phillies team could sustain all this power that the Braves have and all this, you know, craziness that they have. It's not just the players, it's not just the coaches, it's not just the staff, everything. It's not just the team, it's the fans. It's the atmosphere. And that's going to get to the Phillies a lot. And I just think that that's going to be one of the reasons why the Braves are going to end up winning.
Yeah, I agree, but also just backing up to the first thing you said, it's not just the players. The players have just been ridiculously good, so I think that is going to play a very big factor in this. The second NL matchup is the number 2 Dodgers, who have been known to be really bad in the playoffs the last couple years, versus the number 6 Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are the team of youth this year. They have favorite to win the NL Rookie of the Year, Corbin Carroll, who is also an just incredibly fast on their team. Um, I might. I don't really have a very good pick here because the Dodgers could easily crumble and fall. We've seen them do that the last
That
couple of years. But
Yeah, that's very true, Andrew. I actually do really agree with you on that. But where we look at how the Dodgers are this season, Mookie Betts playing great baseball, Freddie Freeman playing great baseball. I just think that the Dodgers could end up making it to the championship series. and I know that they've had struggles over the last couple of years in the playoffs, but I don't think that means anything. I just still think that they can be a good team going to this divisional series. So I'm gonna take the Dodgers in this matchup. And before we go switch over, I just think that this Diamondbacks team is not gonna be capable enough to beat this Dodgers team. I know they understand that they have good players, but this young core cannot end up beating this very veteran likely team in the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You're right. It's a very veteran team versus the team of youth, like I said. So it'll be fun. It's going to be speed versus power. Um, like the pitching styles are different. Everything's different about these teams. It's going to be fun to watch. So, talking about a team who is not in the postseason, former Mets general manager Billy Epler has resigned from the position and is currently under investigation for improper use of the injured list. So, just to quickly explain this, there is a tactic in baseball called the phantom list where general managers will convince players who are not doing incredibly well to like fake an injury or something like that and go on the injured list in order to free up more roster spots. And it's not technically written anywhere that you can't do that, but it's frowned upon. And there's an investigation looking into how many times they did this and how it potentially affected the team. So this news comes a week after the the news story that Buck Showalter was fired and will be leaving the team. And we've seen from Buck Showalter that he is potentially looking at the Angels, but I don't know if the Angels really want him.
Yeah, I really don't understand why the Mets would fire Buck. To me, it makes absolutely no sense. And honestly, I'm a little concerned and confused. They're trying to get better or they're trying to get worse. Because
Yeah,
this Mets team,
yeah,
I mean, I know that they had a lot of struggles this past season, but that doesn't mean that Buck Showalter should be getting fired. He's a Hall of Famer, and I just still, and even at the age of 67, he's still such a good general manager. So this is a very, very, very poor act by the Mets organization.
and we did see a couple blunders from Buck Showalter this season, but who else are they going to hire to lead this team?
And that's exactly what I mean. That's
Like
why they should have just
who
kept
else
with Buck.
wants to do this is the question.
I mean, I'm a little curious. Will Buck even get hired to any other team? I'm guessing he obviously will, but is there any team in mind to you that he would get like maybe like picked up by?
um, well, the
I mean, the
Angels fired
Angels.
their
Oh wow,
manager.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah, the
well,
Angels fired their manager Phil Nevin, and the Angels are going to be an interesting team this upcoming offseason. You know, Mike Trout rumors swirling. Shohei is probably gone from what we actually. I'm going to say he's definitely gone from what we've seen,
yeah.
and
But I listen.
but it's yeah,
I think that Buck Showalter can shape up the Angels, and I'm not just saying this because Buck Showalter's good, but I think that what he did with the Mets is, not just this. This year was kind of bad, but in years prior, he did good things for this, that franchise. So I just think he could do the same thing for this, Angels team if he does end up going to the Angels.
yeah, but
In Anaheim.
just from the reaction of Angels fans from when he said that he might potentially be looking at the Angels already shows that the fans definitely don't want him, but we've seen in the past the Angels don't necessarily do what their fans want. So another just quick thing of news in the MLB is the Rays have announced the construction of a new ballpark in Tampa Bay, which is ending the potential rumors of relocation. We talked about earlier that the Athletics look like they're going to be moving to Las Vegas, but it's good. The Rays get to keep their team, but they are building a massive new expensive ballpark and they've been struggling with attendance the last couple years, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can fill out the ballpark. Quickly talking about the NHL preseason has come to a close and the regular season is upon us. So look out for more NHL talk in the upcoming weeks on the podcast. I'm excited to see what happens this season. Connor Bedard is looking to be the new face of the league. Devils look incredibly good this preseason. We've seen incredible preseasons from other teams. That doesn't mean anything. The regular season is coming soon, and we'll see what actually happens. So we have two fast facts for you this week. One about the Twins, like I said. So they have advanced to the ALDS, ending a 21-year streak of not doing so, and this ends one of the longest droughts in MLB history.
Yeah, I mean, this is very, very shocking, crazy news. I just think that the Twins are a great, great team, but I don't know. They've had a lot of struggles over the years, and just being able to make it to the divisional series is crazy just because they ended their drought. But I don't think they will go anywhere near the championship series just because they're playing the Astros, who are crazy good. We just have to see because anything can happen in the sport of baseball. Anything can happen. So we just have to see.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with the Twins. They've been looking good the past couple of years, but it's usually been the Yankees who have swooped in to eliminate them most of the time. So maybe they'll run free against the Astros here, but the Astros, I think, are going to overpower
Yeah,
them.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
So Chase Claypool, the former Steelers and Bears wide receiver, has gotten traded to an already stacked offense in the Miami Dolphins. Claypool was traded for a 7th and 6th round pick for the upcoming 2024 draft.
Yeah, as a Dolphins fan, this is crazy. I already think that this receiving core is already stacked enough, but just getting Chase Claypool, who was already was the Bears' number one threat before DJ Moore came in, is crazy. And now he's our third best, or yeah, or fourth, third, fifth, wherever the case may be.
Yeah,
I
the
mean
Miami depth chart is interesting.
it's very our receiving core, our running back core, everything's good. Even our quarterbacks, Mike White, Skylar Thompson. I just think that our depth is amazing, and just adding Chase Claypool to an already stacked receiving core is going to improve this team, and I think we definitely go far in the upcoming season. But before we end off the episode, Andrew, I just want to say that how do you feel about the Dolphins playing the Giants in Sunday's game?
There was a fun quote from Wink Martindale, I think, about when he was asked how he was sleeping during the days of preparation for this game. And he said something like, I wake up and cry, go to the bathroom, and try to get more sleep. And that perfectly sums up what the Giants are looking like going into this game. We definitely struggled last week. Defense was all over the place, offense non existent. And I think you guys are going to absolutely blow us out of the water, but we'll see. Anything can happen.
I
It's
mean,
football.
listen, anything exactly, and we saw with Arizona against the Cowboys, anything can happen. I mean, I just don't think you guys will be able to win, but we have to remember that we're coming off a huge loss to a Bills team that is coming back from a huge loss in Damar Hamlin. But yeah, it was a tough loss last week, so we just got to see how we bounce back against your team.
Yeah, and I I don't think the Giants are quite at the point where people are going to just stop watching these games that could potentially be blowouts quite yet. But if this game is like another game like you guys have with the Broncos, I think there's going to be a little bit of an issue going on within the Giants coaching
Well,
staff and front
remember,
office.
remember, it's our second game at home, so in our first game, you already know what happened there. So anything could happen. I mean, I would like to see us blow you out, but again, anything can happen just because how good this Dolphins team is.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. So that is going to conclude the 9th episode of the Sports Coverage Podcast. Can you believe next episode is going to be number 10? As always,
Crazy.
subscribe, like the video, follow us on the Instagram, check out the Spotify if you want audio only. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you in 1 week.